My name is Brendan Roberts and I served in the Air Force. I actually just got admitted to the nursing program.
My name is Christian Anthony and I was in the United States Marine Corps. I'm about my second year in college. I'm kind of between my first and second year studying electrical engineering.
My name is Ashley Schumacher and I served in the United States Navy. I'm in my second year of college and I'm studying psychology.
I'm Alex Hagel and I served in the Minnesota National Guard and the Army Reserves. I don't know what year I graduate in December, and I'm technically studying communication and getting my AA.
My name is Pedro Luis Benavides. I served 3 years on active duty and I'm now currently in the Army Reserves. I'm in my second year and I'm going for mechanical engineering.
My name is Leighton Blankenship. I served in the Colorado National Guard, the Florida National Guard, the Minnesota National Guard. I'm a sophomore studying mechanical engineering.
For college. I just moved out to Oregon and I was going to school out there. I was paying out-of-state tuition, which was an extra $20,000 a year. I decided I didn't want to be in debt or pay off that money, so I figured that if I donated 4 years of my life, had some fun time, made a little bit of money, I'd come back and get college for free.
I joined the military really for the college benefits. I kind of came from a weird background knowing that my family wouldn't really be able to support the full 4-year college ride that I was planning on going, and you know, it's always told that you get education benefits, you go active duty, you get your GI Bill, everything is great.
I was fed up with college, wanted some adventure.
I live by the motto of God and country, and I was a religious sister prior to my service, and I wanted to support the Chaplain Corps in their mission.
I wanted to serve and had family members in there, and I always kind of felt like a military member was a proud top honor I could do.
In my life, I was going down a path if I continued to go, it wasn't going to end well. And the military gave me an opportunity to kind of not only branch out, but see a different part of what my life could be. And it was an opportunity that I wanted to take, so I joined.
I think it's important that I served. I'm definitely proud that I served. I definitely didn't have the greatest time when I was in, but like I said, I'm glad I served.
I go both ways on that. So there are times that I am fairly proud of what I did in my service, and I will pull the veteran card, as they say. Sometimes I try to hide it. I don't really classify myself as like a veteran because I didn't deploy.
It's important in the way that it's a part of my story, it's a part of my history, and I'm very proud of that service, but it also doesn't define me.
I'm very neutral, I guess you can say. I go both ways. I take it as a humbling experience because I did something bigger for my country. However, it's not like I want to brand it all the times. There's times I just want to kind of just sit in the shadows and watch or just be left alone. I don't want to be constantly coming up and like, oh, thank you for your service.
It is important. When I was younger, I thought the military wouldn't be a part of my identity, that I could kind of isolate that part of myself. But it is a part of who I am now. The discipline and all, the idea of upholding a standard is definitely strong in my persona. However, I don't ever like to think that it is indicative of who I am as a whole. It's only a small part of who I am.
I have not been deployed. I was a medic for all 4 years.
I was deployed. Our purpose was to act as ravens for the Air Force. We did site security. I ran a flyaway security team of 2 to 3 other soldiers.
I deployed twice. I did 2 7-month tours in the Persian Gulf on an aircraft carrier. We deployed as a military presence in the Middle East, but we also did combat missions.
Unfortunately, I have not. I always felt like deployment was like a rite of passage or an honor you got to do.
I deployed twice on 2 different missions, however, to the same place. So the first time I went, it was more in a combat capacity, and it was more on standby. However, the second time, still the same place, but it was more of a peacekeeping kind of thing.
It feels good, especially today in the political times that we have. Whenever somebody asks me or somebody tells me thank you for my service, it feels like my service wasn't in vain.
I don't think I deserve it. I wasn't there. I didn't go overseas. I didn't fight the hard fight. You know, I didn't give the ultimate sacrifice. I don't think of myself as the ones that should be thanked.
All right, get used to it, get in the habit of saying thanks for your support.
I'm humbled by it. I really am, and it just makes me grateful, I guess, for having had that opportunity to serve.
Again, I'm neutral because it's a humbling experience, and then I started getting into the habit of saying thank you for your support. But at the same time, it's a different chapter in my life. I don't always want to be reminded what I chose to do.
It's a difficult one, honestly. I mean, we're all human, so there are days where I'm like, I don't want to hear that today. But when I think about it as a whole, it is important for, for people to be appreciative of the service. It's just one of the things where, if you're having a bad hair day or just having a bad day in general, sometimes you just don't want to hear certain things, but it still is important. So I try not to be aggressive or anything like that, even though sometimes I don't feel like I served what I should have served. I know some people have given their lives, and it feels a little strange sometimes when people thank me for my service when I feel like I've done almost nothing.
Everybody always thinks I flew planes when I was in the Air Force.
Everyone finds out I'm a Marine, they're like, oh my God, did you kill someone? Like, no, I didn't even get in a fist fight in the Marine Corps. I got in more fights when I was in high school than I ever did when I was in the Marine Corps.
Shot people in the face.
Well, I think being in the Navy, they assume that you were on a ship, which isn't always the case.
A lot of people assume I killed people.
The biggest thing I get, and that's also given the fact of what my job was, I'm a cavalry scout. People always think that I killed massive amount of people or did some kind of war crime. And I understand that because, and partly it's our fault as a society, we like to only show that part of the Army or part of the military force. We glorify it. But in all honesty, I just trained a lot in preparation in case I had to do that, but I didn't.
A big obstacle that I felt when I got out of the Air Force and back in school was that it's no longer a very simple path in order to get something done. You need to be the go-getter.
There's this huge gap between, at least in the Marine Corps, because we're kind of, I don't want to say we're really hardcore in our training, but there's something about it, and I can't speak on the other branches, but there's something about what we go through that can never go back to like a civilian life. So there's just this huge disconnect with how really the workforce is run here, and then coming back, trying to bridge the gap, I guess. Century College, bridging, bridges success. Full circle. I guess trying to kind of bridge that gap is just being more patient and understanding and trying to calm my nerves, take more walks, ease my mind a little bit before actually commenting or committing to something. So,
Coming back from a deployment, you want to hang out and have fun for a little bit, but you're jumping into other people's lives who have had a schedule for the year that you've been gone, and so you come back and you're having a great time, and then Monday comes and your wife goes to work and your friends go to work and you're sitting there not doing anything. I think that it just kind of sucks sitting around, and it was important for me to jump back into some type of routine and get going again, so I wasn't bored, losing my mind.
I think for me it was feeling a little bit lost and out of my element. Just when you belong to something so large and uniform, and then you find yourself on the other side of it, looking for another sense of belonging and structure.
My major obstacle was the whole fact that I took almost 2 years off of school, and it was getting back in the habit. It was trying to remember everything I learned from high school to college, and you lose a lot of, we don't feel like we lose that much, but you lose a lot of information from what you remember or learned back then.
The biggest thing for me, the biggest obstacle was learning how to balance both lives. And I would say that I still haven't fully learned how to do that. It's still, I wouldn't say struggle, but it's definitely a balancing act. In the beginning, it was a struggle. I didn't know which boots to walk in, is kind of what I've coined it as. Do I walk in my military life and how I carried myself in the military, or I'm more civilian and more friendly? And it's one of those things where, going kind of back to your identity question, who do I want to be today? Am I going to be more of a military-esque kind of person, or do I want to be more seen as a civilian? But that's a privilege that I have now. And I didn't look at that in the beginning, but definitely I'm appreciative of that.
I don't think that they could have done anything better. They did a great job, something I haven't seen anywhere else.
They did everything they could have. I mean, they made it almost seamless. It was really helpful.
It sounds silly, but I just think like a mentor. When I got in the military, there was always somebody there. There's always somebody behind me. And there's always someone kind of just like whispering in my ear a little bit, like, hey, you got to do this. And I would say, even though I was older, it would have been kind of nice at times. So, although I do say it would have been nice, there's times you kind of got to find your own. So it's a hard, definitive question. But for me personally, like I would have been like, yeah, I would appreciate maybe somebody a little more closely to me, like possibly a veteran who's been through this. So I would volunteer for a program like that to help incoming students be like, hey, I'll just kind of follow you for like a week or two, kind of get your feet wet.
I've never really had any problems or issues at all with anybody, any of my teachers.
If your teacher does know that there are service members in the class, maybe not like point them out.
If they are aware of military service members in their class, you know, not to unnecessarily highlight it.
Realize we're not all the same. We're not all want to be called out in a class. We all don't want to constantly refer back to, or if you do have military experience, we don't want to hear about it all the time. As well is to fill the room, because there might be a person who is, you know, who likes being called out maybe once or twice, but if you're constantly calling them out on it, they might all of a sudden become uncomfortable, more red in the face, and not want to be there.
I don't think you have to do anything special. I mean, we talk about other groups and other cultures. Just do the exact same thing. Don't give veteran a special treatment. They're just like any other group in a matter of speaking. Yes, we have our own issues that are specifically to us, but so does every other culture. If I don't want someone to know that I'm a veteran, I'm not going to tell them.
We're definitely not all the same.
Not everyone is a total badass. Not everyone killed someone. Not everyone is extraordinarily proud of their service or had a good experience in their service.
I think maybe that when service members transition back into the civilian sphere, it's very individual. It's a very individual transition for each member. So to be aware of that and not make those assumptions or presumptions.
Again, we're not all the same. We don't all have the same healing process. We don't have the same process in coming back into school. Some will take it easier, some won't take it harder, and we all have different mental capacities. Some do have PTSD and some have it for a different reason.
We're human beings just like everybody else. Yes, we might have certain kinds of issues, but at the end of the day, we're all kind of trying, we're all going for the same goal. We want to be humans, we want to be happy, we want to be joyous.
My number one advice would be don't be afraid to go and bother people. As I was saying before, you now need to be the go-getter. If you want to complete a certain degree or take certain classes, you need to be the person that signs up for classes on that day that classes opens, or you need to be the person that goes and finds that counselor that knows everything about your program.
Definitely talk to your resources. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, that's what people are here for, specifically our Veteran Services Department. I wouldn't have never started school if my husband hadn't drugged me to this meeting with our Veteran Services Coordinator.
Surround yourself with people who want to succeed. If you're doing that on your bad days, you know, they can help pick you up.
Be tenacious and proactive in this new stepping stone in your life, and definitely use all the resources that Century has to offer.
Find people to lean on. You don't have to do it all by yourself like I felt like I had to. There is different organizations like Century have, the Veterans Club and Center, that help you. And just ask. I know how hard it is to feel like you have to ask, and asking seems like a weakness for a lot of us, but there's no shame asking for help, especially when you just gotta figure out classes or money.
I would say my best advice would be take it one day at a time. It's going to feel very overwhelming, and at times you're going to feel like you can't do it. But as long as you remember certain things you learned in the military and you're able to apply certain things you learned in the military to your civilian life, you will make it. But you have to learn when the military, that part of you, is supposed to dictate your life and when it's not.